Testing, one, two, three, testing.
Good evening, everybody. We're getting ready to roll here. We have a club room that has got gazillions of people. The people that are home, you're going to wish you were here because we get to see other people. So as I announced last week, we're kind of doing a new thing where the clubhouse is open at 6:30. And to kind of go along with that, we are doing snacks. And the reason there's a question mark on the snacks is we need some people to sign up. So there's going to be a sign-up sheet. We have next week covered. Lonsdale's going to do next week. But after next week, there'll be a sign-up sheet out in the gathering room. And if you have like some special favorite dessert that Aunt May taught you how to make and you want to show off, feel free to bring that in for us. So a week from tonight, we have something special going on. So it's Photojournalism Week. Night, that's not actually a competition. And, Mariah Kaiser stepped down some time ago, and Bill Keaton agreed to step in, which was great because he's got a degree in photojournalism. And we're going to have something next week that I don't think we've ever had before. He has actually got Bruce Bishop, who is the head photographer for the Elyria Chronicle Telegram, is going to give a presentation to us before the actual showing of the pictures. And I'm going to give you part of the topic. It's called The Best Worst Career There Is. So I think that should be absolutely interesting. So you have to submit the images by January 14th, up to 7 images through the Shutterscore. I already did that, didn't I? Okay. And then the next week we have our nature pictorial competition. It's projection. Again, the deadline is January 14th, and you go, wait a minute, why are there 2 deadlines the same? Because photojournalism is not judged, we don't need any time, but when we have things that are being judged, we need extra time because we send the images out. They might be judging from Africa, and that has actually happened before. So your deadline is January 14th for the nature competition. And the Cabin Fever. Who has signed up for Cabin Fever Party? Okay, you guys that are sitting on the fence, there's only 5 days left. I think I've got that right. Yes, January 14th. There's 5 days left. You need to sign up because we need to plan for food and so forth. As we mentioned before, you can bring a dish or pay $18. And then we highly encourage you to get involved in the Robbers auction, gift exchange, whatever you want to call it. And I would suggest, bring something out of the basement, the garage, whatever that's of a unique quality, or spend $18 and buy something. Let Kim know, then her email's right there, let Kim know if you're going to be coming so we can plan on how many people we've got. And then the next night we have a bee competition, and I missed a quotation on my bees. So this is through Shutterscore. The deadline is January 21st for bee. Highly recommend you, if you're, especially like right now, any people are watching from home that are in our fundamentals class, you can also enter this. And we're looking for speakers. It'd be great to have in-person speakers. We have a lot of Zoom meetings, but you don't have to be a great speaker. I mean, we're all friends here. Like, I've never tripped over my words, right? So don't be worried about that. Yeah, Joe's yelling at me, or Marge is yelling at me. Okay, so Marge, for those at home, Marge is pointing out there are instructions for how to enter B, and I think those are also online. And now we're going to do something unique. We're going to do our people competition. So right now what's happening is the judges are in the back office. They're scoring your images, and we've got to wait for them to finish. And while that's happening, we are going to have what's called, I'm calling it a mini critique, and what do we call you? Our critique poobah. He's going to be live critiquing and editing.
I am the opening act. I have to warm the audience up before the judges come in. We're going to go until like the Supreme Court judges, they enter from the back, and then we'll stop what they're doing as they come in. But several things tonight. We're going to do this mini critique. Some of you submitted some pictures, and some I took from previous competitions, the non-winners too, that would be instructive. But what's important on these is in this critique, two things. One is, I want to also know from you guys, I'm going to tell you what I thought, maybe this looked a little better or do this. But a lot of times people think different and go back and forth. Or someone might have a suggestion, well, tell you what, why don't you just crop off a little from the other side? Just yell it out. And we'll just do it up here. So this is meant to involve the audience. This isn't a straight didactic thing. The other thing is, just for your own information, is Photoshop has, over the years, in case you come up with it, it is extremely intensive in terms of compute power now with the AI tools. And actually on the laptop, it becomes difficult at times because even though I have a recent GPU and a pretty powerful one, it would not work today because I usually don't edit on the laptop. It wouldn't work because I had to update my driver. So the driver is only about 11 months old, and I had to actually update it in order for some of the Photoshop tools to work. The Photoshop tools, some of them also use the internet. So again, your GPU has to be, really fast and updated drivers, and your internet connection has to be good because a number of these edits are done on Adobe's computers in the cloud for some of the tools as well. So that's just a little side thing for those of you at home and an excuse in case something goes wrong here. So on that note, we'll start off with some of the people that submitted images here. And I'm going to bring up the first one. And this was, it's an interesting, I thought, an interesting image. It has a lot of colors in. The colors are done beautifully. I love the orange bird because it just stands out from the flowers and whatnot, the bright red flowers. So I thought this was good. But as I looked at it, as we come up again, there's that distinction between snapshot and really good. And as those of you who've heard me talk before, I say this ad nauseum. In order to get that really good picture, you need three things. One is you need a good eye in order to see the thing, this is going to be a good picture. The other is you need a decent camera equipment. But the third is, for a lot of times, the camera is not good enough. You need some post-processing in order to help you along. And that's the third leg, to separate the snapshots from the really good images. So here the person recognized the good one, but as I looked at this, there's a sign over here, because this is in a botanical gardens or something. And also there's just the bird or things are lost here. So one of the things you could do with this image is a simple thing of just cropping. And here, I just tried experimenting. If we kind of keep the things that are interesting, like those flowers, the bird, that flower at the bottom right looks great. We'll get rid of that sign. We'll put the bird in the rule of thirds, the upper one. This flower falls kind of almost there. But we've gotten rid of a lot of the unnecessary things, and let's see. And there, it just the three elements of the picture just stand out more. So sometimes you could have recognized a good picture. Technically, this picture was excellent. I wouldn't do anything. But a little thing, we didn't do any big time edits. A little thing of cropping could sometimes go a long way between, I think, the original. Oh, no, they both, we did that. Let me go back. Okay, yep, so anyone have any thoughts on?
The concrete bothers me.
The concrete bothers you, and you're right, that is interesting in that two things. One is it would be hard you can't crop it out, number one. At the time the person took the picture, working the scene, could you have moved over to the right? And a lot of times, looking back, when I go, let's bring that up again here. Let's bring it back to reset to full. Okay. When you're here looking at it, the question is, as you look and you say, or you take the picture and look at the back of the camera, you say, that concrete bothers me. Maybe if you moved a little to the right, and then you would have less of that concrete. But sometimes there's nothing you could do. You're dealing with a bird. You want to take the picture right away. Maybe when you move, the birds are going to fly away. So the other question is, what could you do about it? So sometimes there's nothing that you could do about it. There are other things that you could, let me bring back that crop again. Whoops. And we'll put that bird in the, just to approximate. Is if that concrete really bothers you, one, there might be nothing you could do about it. If it was just leaves up there, you could use the AI tools to help. In this case, you'd have to take off part of the flower, and that would be difficult. But you could give it a try. As a matter of fact, because we're here, and let's see, I'll stay in camera raw, I'll use the remove tool. Let's say if we just, and with AI, it's always worth a try, but there's no guarantee. I'd say half the time it does a crappy job. And so in this case, let's hope our processor is enough here and our internet connection is good enough. Come on, come on, come on. And you get 3 choices, so let's see. Almost. Okay, it's going to think about it. It is amazing, but there again, 1, 2, 3 choices you get. A word about this. This is key. Let's take one of those that didn't have as much of the red up there. There we go. There you go. For those of you who have trepidations about doing that, there's something you have to resolve on your own, which is, I have no problem doing that, because these pictures, unlike photojournalism, you are not representing these as this is exactly what it was. This is art. We are creating art. So in a sense, if you really like this arrangement of the flowers and the birds, and that's what your eye saw, and you say, this will make a great picture, you can't do anything about the concrete. If you were in a studio, you would move an object away that didn't look right. But out there, you can't. So this is in a case like a studio where you move something. But instead, you'd put this on your wall and you'd really be proud of it. And it's art. And you're not telling anyone this is reality or whatnot. So I have no problem doing that. Some people, and if you don't want to, that's fine too. But I'm saying if you went and got this beautiful picture and that concrete really bothers you, I don't have any problem doing this. That's my editorial. If anyone feels different, that's you're wrong. No, that is, okay. That is good. Let's go to, here's one of the problems. I asked for some submissions for people. What do you do when you get a picture, and I really tried, that looks perfect? And I looked at, this was sent in for the thing tonight to help with the editing. This picture's perfect. There's nothing, unless someone out there thinks of something. I love the leading lines looking down. Technically, it's good. Cropping-wise, it's good. I just think it's a beautiful picture. And I couldn't think of anything to do with it. But since the person sent it in, I had to show it. So congratulations to whoever, so unless anyone has. And then what they did to compound it is they sent a second one in. So I thought, okay, on that one, at least I could. And open, let's see. Here we go.
Richard,
Yeah.
those are my pictures. So what am I doing wrong?
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were in the. Those are your pictures. Don't send these in. No, what you're doing wrong is no. Seriously, no. I'm glad you're here. That is when you have a good picture, it's a good picture. If you took that picture, did no post process or whatever you did, okay, you post processed and you did all the things. When you did it. I couldn't think about, I would look at that picture and I couldn't think of anything to change. I think all your decisions were beautiful. So there's nothing, I really tried. And the same thing with this one. You're killing me. This one, great. I look at this And, and again, I'm looking at this with an eye of really what could I do to help. Now, by the way, for those of you who it looks like it's too dark underneath there, look on the side monitors you could see. This was a beautiful picture. I mean, this comes over, and the usual problem is, without post-processing, is the underside is just too black, and you can't see any detail. But here, you could see detail all along the underside. This comes across and ends up here, a nice diagonal, the reflections. I looked at this, and, I think you did a phenomenal job. I'd have to say, unless someone in the audience has an idea, I couldn't think of anything to do differently. I'd be proud of this picture. Yes, okay, good. We've got a...
What about that white tree, skinny tree that's by the rock?
The white tree by the rock there.
Of the,
Okay.
And the white dot next to it.
And the white dot, okay, those over there. Let's see if I can get my... Yeah, I know. This, like I said, I don't edit on this, so let me put my... zoom in. I don't have the remove tool on this. Let's see, wait. Here, remove tool. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's a PSD file. Okay. Like I said, everything is set up on my computer, but this is the laptop, so I didn't. So let's try the remove tool on both of those. Okay. It's removing now.
Well, my question then is,
Yeah.
how do you want me to submit them? In what format?
Oh, no, this is fine.
Oh, just PSD's okay?
Yeah, PSD's fine. I just had to open it up in Photoshop rather than RAW. Okay, there's with the...
You have the reflection as well.
I mean, you could, we're dealing with real, you're right, real minor things here as well. There we go. There. But again, you're right. These are the little tiny things maybe, but overall, I think this is perfect. Perfect the way it is. So, good work.
Yeah, it's in Kentucky, Red River Gorge.
Kentucky, Red River Gorge. But you see, it's lining up. The way you lined up this picture, the diagonal, the way you processed it so we could see all that. So it's technical, it's the technical and recognizing a good image. So, great. That was, okay. Yes, the first one.
Yeah, it seems a little burned out.
Let's see, on the side monitors, because on my calibrated monitor, it was perfect. Let's see. Okay. It's still on the side monitors. Does it look?
See what happens if you lower the highlights a little bit.
Okay, let me.
I had trouble with this, there was just an overcast day and kind of drizzly.
Let me just.
Bring anything out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we could bring down some of the highlights.
Okay, let me just. Okay. There. It just, again, my computer wasn't set up to do, and so I just brought it into RAW. Okay, bring down the highlights a little. Yeah, that's how our highlights, if we brought them down.
And I see that's, you just want, can you do the gradient? That's what
Oh, in other words, bring the highlights down just up there, more like on a linear gradient.
linear gradient, right?
Yeah, so linear gradient, and then bring highlights down. Again, so you brought it in the sky a little. But again, on the calibrated monitors, those reds were real, I like the first way. So, you go back and forth, and a lot of it depends on your monitor. Make sure your monitors are calibrated at home. That I can't overemphasize enough, because we're working on calibrated monitors. So if yours at home, it looks, one way and looks different somewhere else, But again, it's just a matter of taste. But here, no, I think it's, as I look back and forth then, that's before, that's with the highlights down a little.
Richard,
Yeah,
which calibrating software thing do you use?
oh, how to calibrate your monitor?
No, what brand do you use to calibrate?
My monitor actually is it has a built-in calibrator, but most people use i1 or Color Monkey. Those are the two, I think, two main ones as well. You know, Amazon has them, things like that as well. And usually you have to do it, you know, you calibrate it once and that's it. With the use that we do, it's usually every, you know, you can get away every 6 months or something like doing it. But it makes a difference not so much in colors, although that is important, but in brightness. Because if you submit a picture digitally for the judges and your monitor is too bright and you get it looking perfectly on your monitor and they look at it on a calibrated monitor, it might look too dark there as well. So it's worth calibrating once just so that your submitted pictures are going to look the same on a calibrated monitor.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What were the two that you said?
I1 and or Color Monkey
Okay, thank you.
too. But just Googling monitor calibration software, and you'll see a whole ton of them too, and real easy to do. Okay, let's see. Eric is working back there. Oh, Eric, you're back? Okay. Eric, you're another one that killed me here. Let's see. Eric is there. Yeah, beautiful shot. But the only thing that's interesting, and here's just again, this is opinion, because Eric's a great photographer, is sometimes, and I notice this on a bunch of pictures too, we have a tendency, now this could be the way you did it purposely, but sometimes things could, and it's not really, we'll see more that's more evident, the cropping, in terms of close cropping, close to the edge. This kind of looks fine to me, but I also experimented on this just to see if it had a little more room, if it wasn't so close, just a little bit more. And wasn't so close to the edge. So we just, this is one that could go either way. And I think it's a beautiful picture. Technically, I can't think of anything to do on this. I mean, the fur is not blown out. We could see that. The snow, everything good. So it's just a matter of just, you know, your opinion in terms of just how you want it to look in terms of close to the edge. There are some that are too close to the edge in certain pictures where it's obvious. Others, it is a creative decision. And like I said, the way this was, I can go either way on this too. But I was just running out of things to say on this, so it was a nice one. Yes?
That pole or tree or whatever it is just sort of draws my eye.
The pole down to the left?
The pole, yeah.
Okay, okay, two things on that, which is, and this is the important thing here, which is if you, on that pole, I'll use the shift key here. Okay. And here's, let me remove the pole and then give you my, okay. Now that's with the pole out. That's with the pole in there. Now, here's a case where if I agree with you, if I wanted to really touch up this picture, maybe that's just a bit more symmetric and everything there too. However, this is an artistic decision. And if the maker says, you know, I've had people say, no, I like that cigarette up there, or I like those other people, or I like the pole there because, you know, it's natural, whatnot too. That's fine, because this image, you know, how you want the image, that's in the eye of the person making it. So this isn't a thing where, oh, if no rule of thirds and it would look better this way. This is a personal decision. So yes, either way is fine. It's with the pole, be fine. Without, it's fine. So that gets down to one of those, what you want to do.
Eric, was that taken locally or was that was local, okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then Eric's other one was, this was out in the wild. No. That was Eric, again, you're killing me. Was this natural light, Eric?
No, this was the workshop that we did here for.
This is the workshop, so this is, okay. Other than, there's a little, I can see this little white,
I actually printed this and actually saw that and I'm like, I should have taken that out.
that out. These are little tiny, you're talking about minor things, but sometimes that could help, if we just those two little things there take out. But in terms of technical composition, technical things, cropping, lighting, I really love this one. I can't think of anything unless our really cutthroat audience here is, someone could think of something. Eric, this is really nice. I mean, she's off to the side. There's enough room for her to look. The cropping is just beautiful. Things aren't really blown out. We talked about this before, is I could go into the highlights and get these highlights down on her face, and I could bring up the shadows around there. You have to be careful of that. You could do all these technical things, but then the picture doesn't look natural. Looks weird. So basically this looks completely natural. And I really like the way this looks, Eric. Unless someone in the audience feels differently, I wouldn't change anything on this. Okay, so it's great. You're killing me. So let's get to some. Gary submitted, Gary, we're going to do one of his. He submitted 2 creatives, but we can't critique a creative because creative is just the creative, it's a design too. So Gary submitted this nice one of a thing here. I'm from the city, I'm sorry. So, it's a flying rat?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, that I know. Yeah, and really nicely done. Technically, it's good. I like the way the tree comes. The only thing I experimented on this was just to change the crop a little because it is right. You notice when I put the rule of thirds up, it's right dead center, too. So what I did is just tried a little of just to offset it a little. Oops, let me take off the proportions. So we have the tree still going on the right, but maybe just not have it as much. And again, you still have the effect of the tree, you have the green on the left. It's beautiful. It actually makes it a little more prominent in the picture since we've taken some stuff off, and it's not dead center. So a minor change, but sometimes that could make all the difference. Where you don't know, the other one looks good, but you might say, gee, this one looks a little bit better to my eye, but you don't know why. And so it could be these little things. I don't know, does anyone have any opinions or?
I would cut the green in half.
You would cut the green in half, in other words, just crop some of the green out?
Yep.
Okay. Something like that?
Yep.
Okay.
And I would include more of the bottom and cut more at the top.
You would include more of the bottom, something like that?
Somewhat.
Okay, and cut more of the top?
Yep.
Okay, you tell me when.
Here.
Okay, right around there?
That looks good.
Excellent.
I concur.
Cropping is the most underrated thing. And you'll hear people tell you should get it right in camera or whatnot. There's a lot of professionals, and one who wrote an article on that who says it's a bunch of crap. It's a creative decision. And so basically, as you see here, what we're doing could make a lot of difference, but it is a purposeful decision that sometimes you just can't think right in the, while you're taking it. So yeah, this looks beautiful. So, yep, nicely done. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Hey, Marge is in the back working. She did one of hers is a abstract, which we can't really critique, but other is this one, which she did, which was interesting. So this is kind of an abstract. It looks like it's got a texture over it or whatnot. But there was one thing that just kind of bothered me about that. What did someone say?
Too much sky.
Too much sky?
It puts the barn exactly dead center on all sides.
It's a good point. Too much. It's kind of similar to what I was thinking. What I was thinking is it's too close cropped. You know, it's up against the edge on two sides. And so if we could just a little bit, you know, not so much keep it dead center, but give it like a bunch more on the left. We got it fine. Should we give it a little, even just on the two sides? Let's see what that does. And maybe a little more, did you say too much sky? Ooh, then I won't give it more sky. Okay. Okay, let's see what it will artificially generate some sides. There, just keep. And just to, let me get rid of the crop lines. And we see now, it kind of looks a lot different. And so before, and this close cropping or cropping to the edge, you know, when we take the picture, is always allow your, because you could crop, you know, in post, so just be careful of close cropping. But if you do, you see with the AI tools that are available in most programs now, that you can get yourself out of it. Because here, the AI tools work, we just created more of the sides as well. And I think this looks a lot, you know, a lot different now. Let's see if we can get a side by side. No, we can't with that. Okay. Okay, yeah, so that made a big difference in that one. So that's just another one there. Let's go to our next one. Oh, now we have some of the... This one is interesting. Here's an interesting, it's some kind of structure out in the, Some kind of structures. Was this yours, Mike or Kim? No, okay. Out there. Huh? Fantasy Canyon, Utah. Okay. One thing, I brought this up just for one thing to show, is that this is, light meter was probably perfect on this or whatnot, but the cameras, again, have a limitation in lights and darks and what they could say, and a lot of images out of the camera, even if you've exposed it perfectly by the meter reading, come out a bit flat. And what I always do when I put a picture up is I just glance at the histogram, not study it, I glance it. And if you look, if I see a flat part here, what this is showing me is that I'm missing any really deep darks. And as we can see, this looks flat. So what I do is just on the blacks, just do it. And you can even do it just watching the histogram, bringing it over to where now the histogram goes right up to the edge there. And now, if I do our before and afterwards, you say, oh yeah, that does look flat. Ah, that's a lot more depth. So that's a thing you might not realize unless you look at the histogram, but also realize that this is a case for post-processing because you did everything right with the camera. This isn't an incorrect exposure. It's just that the camera has limitations on its dynamic range. So here afterwards, what we've done is we have everything from the maximum blacks in here up to the maximum whites, and it just gives it more. So that's what I was using this one to, my plea for post-processing. Okay, let's see if we can pull another example. Oh, this was an interesting one. Okay. This one I thought was a beautiful picture. But very colorful, things like that. You can't do anything about that fence in back. But I was thinking, what can we do with this? And here's a case where, yes, in the back, I saw hands go up with the cropping thing too, you're right, cropping is in this, there might, first of all, when you're looking at it, realize that I'd like to get more of this in, maybe move to the right and shoot that way. But if not, and this is what we have, what you could always do is just change your crop to maybe just crop a little, oops, let me take away the aspect thing, yeah. A little, get rid of some of that dead space and just have more of these. So we're in something like this. So you're in more on the colors. The fact that this is cut in half, as long as it doesn't look accidental, because we've cut a lot off. Now, we can't do anything about the white fence, but we've certainly accentuated this whole, now our whole field is filled with colorful things. So I'm not saying this is going to be a prize-winning picture, but if you come back with, let me go to the crop thing. If you take off, let me go reset to full. If you come back with this as your picture, and you say, oh, how could I improve this? The cropping, or bringing at least more of those in the middle.
Bring it the whole way in until the purple one.
Until the purple one, you mean up like this?
Not too far, you're going too far.
Back like that? Okay, do anything with the top or bottom? Or just leave it like it is?
Leave it like it is.
Well, let's see what that looks like. There you go. You know, and you could fiddle with this. Now, and remember, to me, personally, this is art. Could you go in, see this red flower on the bottom? None of the others are cut off. You could easily take out this red one on the little bit of the red here. You could take out this, and you could take out this and take out that one. So you just have the whole flowers there. That's pretty easy to do. And then it would really look symmetric. But again, I look upon what you bring back sometimes as raw material. And then you play around with it. You might take those, you might decide, I like it like this crop. You might decide, I want to try to take some of those things out. You might try a different crop. But again, these are things that are available to you. So that was just a little suggestion on that. So let's see. Oh, interesting one. Here was a shot of something, okay? And I thought this is really nice. I love the dunes up front. So this is what you come back. Technically, the settings are correct on this camera. Nothing is blown out or whatnot. We're dealing with the limitations sometimes with the camera. So I look at this as, this is what you get. That time of day, sky condition, so beautiful dunes. Is there anything I could do to enhance this? So one of the things I thought is, if we change a little, like the sky, right now these dunes really jump out at me. But the sky is kind of blah, and this is kind of blah in the middle. So if there's any way I could, and we have a thing here too, it's a landscape, a mask for landscape, which will mask out the sky and just the mountains separately, so it's easier for us to work. Just a shortcut. Give Adobe a second to work, and our internet connection a time to work. It'll work in a second. It'll work before. There it goes. Come on. Come on. Okay. A little bit more. You could do it. This is, don't give up now. It's getting discouraged. Almost there. There it is. Okay. So what it does is Adobe masks off the sky and the mountains separately. It just makes your job easier. So on the sky, if I just brighten up the sky a little, just a little, so that the mountains are more distinct. So they were both kind of grayish. And then, if I take my, let's see, landscape again, I'll take my mountains, and maybe on the mountains, let's see if we could just give that a little more definition. Maybe on the dehaze. Let's see if I could bring that down a little. And again, I'm just kind of doing this seat of the pants wise, but what we see here is it just kind of pops a little more. You have more interesting mountains and sky. If we go back to before, there's the before. So I was just trying to do something with the mountains and the sky to make them just pop a little more. Again, this is a problem with the camera, its limitations, nothing the way you did it. Yeah.
I think this might be interesting in black and white.
Might be interesting in black and white. It might. Let's see what that looks like and do a quick black and white. I love the yellow of the dunes. This might, you could, if you work this enough in black and white and try to bring out some more texture or something, it might. You'd have to do a lot of work in it, but sometimes you're right, that does work. But this is just showing you again, this was a limitation. You sometimes, if that's the time of day you're at, great. And I love those dunes, so it's a way that you could just accentuate the others. Okay, let's see too. And again, these are suggestions. These are not my, this was, interesting. It's a really nice one. Okay. What, you know that one?
I think that's at Lakeview Cemetery.
Okay, yeah, probably Lakeview Cemetery. Okay, on this, two things. Now, I don't know if it shows up there. This is a beautiful picture in black and white. It works fine. I think we gave it a bit more contrast to pop, and you could bring some of those highlights down a little. So that's just and sometimes unless you try, you don't realize. But here, there's a lot of blacks here and maybe too much. Just lightening up a little, you still get a full range of blacks to whites. But your contrast is a little better, your dynamic range is better. But there's one thing here and again, personal thing as well, and it gets back to my mantra of the cropping, is yes, this is here, and I know we're seeing the full person leaning over, but it dilutes, I think, the image on the right. And what I tried for, and again, I was just trying this, is to maybe, oops, not that, take that off. And I was thinking about just bringing this a little over, puts that statue in the rule of thirds, and takes away other maybe distracting things, and more focuses just on her. That's just a person. I see a no in the background. Okay. You want to try it back the original way? Okay. This is important, and that's why I wanted the audience help. These are all going to be personal decisions. These are not rules. I'll give you why I thought, this looked fine, but that certainly doesn't mean that either the judges or anyone else like that are going to. Okay. So in this case, we see the whole thing as well.
Question,
Yes.
what can you do to make the two statues stand out more? They seem to blend in a lot.
Okay, when you're doing black and white, you're right, you have no way for them to stand out. So the question is, what can you do to make the statues stand out more? One of the things you could do, and in this case, it's not easy, and let me just give this a quick try here, and I will do that, and I will do that, and I will make my brush real big, is to vignette. Now, these are close to the edge, so it's hard to vignette. But if you subtly, what I'm doing is I'm subtly darkening. Here I'll darken the corners. I'll darken more, maybe some in the middle. I'll darken a bit down here. And remember, the thing with vignette is if you could tell it's been vignetted, you've done too much. So here I'm vignetting around them. I just picked an arbitrarily, so you see there and there. And then you could play with your exposure. Let me bring that down a little more. Okay. So in that, there we go. So now, even though we don't realize it, we've made the statue stand out a little more. There we were, whoops, where's our, well, there. There we were before, and there between lightening them and bringing that out. So that brings out the statues a little more. Here again is that vignette off.
How about a camera setting with a shallower depth of field so that just the figures are sharp and the background is
Right.
blurred out?
When you actually took the picture, the question is that, yes, when you took the picture, Right, thinking about that, if you try to use a wide lens opening, the narrowest depth of field you can, then these are both in the same plane of focus. So they'll both be in focus still, but the background will really blur. Now, I am quite sure these are not good enough for Photoshop to do its blur effect on. Usually Photoshop recommends that you have a distinct subject in the foreground and background, but let's give it a try. It's analyzing it now. It's thinking, this might be too much thinking for it. Oh, there it goes. Let's see, let me visualize it. It did pretty well. Okay, so blur amount. I know. Art, remember, this is art. So again, here is, as an excellent suggestion, what we've done now is we've vignetted the background. We've kind of just to make them stand out, and we've also used a narrower depth of field. And by the way, this isn't cheating, because if you take a picture with a phone in portrait mode on the iPhone, it actually takes the picture. If you set it to f2.8 to get a narrow depth of field, it actually takes the picture at like f16, but shows you it in 2.8. So afterwards, if you say, I'd like a little more depth of field, you just move a slider on there after you've taken the picture, and you get the full depth of field. So this isn't really cheating. It is, but these are all excellent suggestions I didn't think of. We have now vignetted to stand out. We've made the depth of field smaller, and look at this shot now.
The cross stands out now, and I didn't even see it before.
Yeah, so here's our before picture. And again, beautiful idea, nice composition, but limitations of the camera. Look at that. Oh yes, and the cross stands. Yes, the cross before was harder to see. So we've really brought these things to the forefront. Two excellent suggestions I would have missed there. But now we've turned this picture in. I really like this picture. So again, when you go out, and you get that and you say, oh, I thought this would look better. These are all things to think about, because again, you were right. You had spotted a good picture, and here's a way to get it. So yeah, this is much different. Good, excellent suggestions. Let's see if we have another one here. This is one, just to show you the camera thing again. Here, look at this histogram up here. The image is kind of flat. Look at this, there's nothing here in the blacks. Again, and actually nothing, even though it looks like there's bright whites, nothing on the whites. If I were to move my, where was it? You're looking at the histogram up there, I'm going to get rid of that flat portion all the way up to there. And look at the difference now between that's out of camera. The camera, this was not an error in exposure of the camera. It's the limitation. The camera is taking an average of everything, and an average is gray. And so sometimes that's what you get. But again, you're able to make it jump out. And let's see, out of curiosity, if we could increase the whites without blowing anything out. Okay, there it starts to, there. So even though that looks like it's blown out, there is nothing blown out here. We have maximum blacks, maximum whites. So that's out of camera. That's it. Now, I also experimented at home. I'm not going to do it here. It's dead center. If that's the way you got it, because in a bird, hey, you just grab what you can get. You could very easily just add a little onto the left, or however you want or something too, to put it off center or where you want it and make it the perfect image. So I show this one just because of not composition, but that again. But let me do a composition one before the judges walk in here as well. Let's do, let's anger everyone. Let's go real. Let's get everyone riled up. Okay, this was a nice one. It's a person here. Now here's where preference comes in. Remove distractions. People. Let's you take that picture. Again, you're not in a studio. You're not in the studio, so you can't do anything. Wait, I'm not done. Because it missed the one guy, which it always does. Wait. Wait for the, don't boo before I finish this last. Hold your thing till I get rid of the last guy here. Yeah, no, wait, let me get it. Okay. Look at that. Now, this is a shot of just, now, when you go, if you're in a studio, you tell those people to move. If you're out shooting candids, I can't bring all, let's see if I can get them all back. Yeah, that's what you got. Now, by the way, in some of these, you might say, I like the effect of the people there. It makes it look, whatever. That's fine. That's an artistic decision, and I have no problem with that at all. But on the other hand, you say, gee, look at her there. There you go. And now we're all centered right on her and whatnot. So my point is not to tell you which is a better picture, but just to show you the possibilities, the tools are there if you wanted whatnot, but if you don't, that's fine too. So that was just, I wanted to get that one in just to rile everyone up there as well. This is, and I think on this, here's another one. You go, great picture. This is somewhere, nice castle. I like the effect. Exposure is good. Everything looks good there as well. But there's what bothers some people here? I thought Mike was going to, anyone bother? The top there, yes, that's right. Look when you're taking the picture. This cutting off on the top is going to jump out at everybody. So yes, that could be correct. That should have been corrected when you took the picture. But if you don't, then again, you always have, whoops, let me put that back. You always have in post-processing a way of, now again, artificial intelligence, it's not perfect. It'll sometimes goof this up, but you get 3 choices. No, we don't like that one. That's pretty good. Oh, off to the side. You could always do it again. But there, it gives us an effect there as well. We're almost ready. 5 minutes. 5 to 10? 5 to 10 and they'll be done. Okay. The other thing that I see here is, as long as we're cropping, is, oops, let me expand. Bring that up again. Is see how this is cut off on the right? And these things don't really add anything. Is if you bring this over to here, look at that. It says symmetric. There's space between this and the edge, and there's space between this and the edge. It's a group. Nothing is cut off. We have the top of this. This is a lot more artistic now than the first one. So if you do happen to, at the time you're taking a picture, composition-wise, just get it off like that. Again, but that's one of the fun things of going through your pictures, because you might look, oh yeah, let me move this over here, let me crop it a little different, and you have that ability to make it the way you want to look. Any comments on this one? Let's see if we can get another one in there because of the, here was a really nice one. I really like this picture. And when you look at what could be done to improve this. Tighter crop is one. That's very interesting. Yes, you could tighter crop on the boy so that you're seeing just him. It would probably be too bright. You could crop on the face just or whatnot, but that's right along the lines I was thinking, which is I like everyone there, but if I could just bring more attention to the boy. So what we tried is, and then we'll try a tighter crop, is we will a radial gradient just around his face, invert it so I could do a vignette, and really, if you start to do this, and again, you want to do it subtly and you fool around, but again, it's not an obvious thing here, but if you look at, now our eye is kind of drawn to him. Your eye is kind of all over, so you've subtly brought it in. So vignetting could be real powerful in terms of just whether it's like with birds or things like that, just enough to subtly draw the eye in without cropping off. So I brought this one up just as an effect of vignetting. And,
I know it would take a lot of time, but getting rid of the name badges would really be a good thing on that. Don't do it.
okay, no. But the point was that I know it would take a lot of time, but getting rid of the name badges would help. That actually is, you're right. Look, I am old. And I started with Photoshop where we just had the cloning tool, and it would take forever to do that and whatnot. It would be very, very difficult. Nowadays, it is an amazing, because you go in with the remove tool, and I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'll do one name badge just to show you, is if you look at his name badge, and again, I'm making promises without seeing what it's going to do first, but let's see. But the AI has gotten so good that you can go into a name badge like that, and it'll create the clothing. The folds in the clothing, look at that. That was one click. You go around, you could easily do all those name badges, and I agree. You take all those name badges off, and you do the vignette, a beautiful picture, and all modernity things, the badges are out. So again, this gets back to if someone says, this is going to be a photojournalism picture, in which case you wouldn't do it, or I'd like it like that, that's fine, but if you want to, that's easily doable. And it's a matter of getting the picture, when you come home, having taken this picture, to really get it to where you like it.
Do you think that removing distractions would catch that?
No, removing distractions has removed people, remove reflections, and remove wires. Again, one of the things. And dust spots, yes.
Can we do anything with the boy on the left?
With the boy on the left,
Cut it in half.
the boy on the left is difficult. AI, in terms of extending it out, is notoriously poor on faces and people. It 95% of the time will just give you something bizarre. You could try it, but odds are it will not. Removing the boy, you could, but there's nothing really, you'd have kind of empty space here as well. So this is one of those difficult things that not really. You could crop to the left so that this kid is kind of cut a little, but then he's not in the center too. So I think that it's probably, given this, I don't know of anything you could do about that. Was there a question? Yeah, Dennis.
Yes. I think I'd remove the black spot. Remove the black spot at the top left.
The black spot at the top left.
Top left, take that out. And at the top right, remove the hand on the boy's shoulder, because we're
Yes,
just
and,
seeing part of
and
it.
also you notice one thing. You notice the green in the upper right. And sometimes if you have something that and is distracting and you can't clone it out, if you go and use your desaturate tool and just desaturate greens and just do that, that becomes gray, and all of a sudden it doesn't bother you anymore. That's a little trick there. But let's do the, where's they walk in. Oh, my thing stopped. Oh, there it is. Let me cancel that. We got all the use out of this program that we could before it's collapsing as the judges are ready to come in. Give this a second. Let's see if this unfreezes on the, and that's not uncommon in Photoshop. With these, I think, let's do the remove. No, I think we fried it, but right at the right time because the judges are about to come in. But yes, the green, as I notice here too, you could clone that out. The hand, that would be easy to clone out as well. So the actual, with the remove tool, these are good enough now because it uses AI to fill in what it thinks should be in the back. And you could look at this and take out the hand over here, the badges, put the vignette on, and all of a sudden you have, you know, a whole different, different picture then. Let me see if I could, whoops. Task manager. Yep, it did it. Let's see if we could. Ah, okay. So you want to try the hand. So let's see if I could do that. And what I'll do is see if I can get that green. And again, with AI, you could always do it over and over. It gives you 3 choices. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Let's see, that's choice 1, choice 2, choice 3. It looks like more material back there, but you've gotten the hand off. This is the, there's the hand, there, and back. But again, you could experiment, but you could take, you said there's a lot you could do. So we getting close, Bill? Oh. They're doing, okay, so I think what we'll do is with the judges maybe a few minutes away, that's a good idea. Let's take a break then, so you have time to take a break before the judges come in and start then. So, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Richard. Yeah. Hey, guys, this was the last print competition of this club year. Be thinking about, we have 4 in a year if you want to do this again. But if you agree you want to do it again, we need you to send images in. So, thanks again, Richard. Okay, everybody. I think we're ready to get going here. And right off the bat, I want to voice, as I'm sure everybody does, how grateful we are for the judges stepping up and helping us out. Without the judges, we would have no competitions. So I'm going to let the judges introduce themselves, and then we'll get going.
Hello, I'm Joe Applebaum. What, Mike? Sorry, if you can't hear me, let me know. But I'm a retired photographer, but mainly a retired photography art teacher. I taught mainly at Brecksville Broadview Heights High School. Had as many as 6 classes a day. I remember one year I figured out I saw 50,000 images on proof sheets, those little, and had to grade all of them, or at least the sheet, and 2,500 to 3,000 prints that year. So I'm used to seeing imagery a lot. Of course, shooting a wedding, if you're doing it now digital, you go through 2,700 prints or images on your camera, where we used to use 36 shot rolls of film. But anyways, that's my experience. I'll let someone else.
Hi, my name is Beth Glorioso. I am a portrait and wedding photographer. I've been photographing events for about 25 years. My background is I have a BFA in photography from the Cleveland Institute of Art, and my personal work has always been people.
Hi there, my name's Danny Vega. I'm from Cleveland, and I just want to say thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be here with the Cleveland Photographic Society. With a theme like people, I'm not just looking at faces or technique, I'm looking for connection. I'm asking whether the image tells me something about the person, the moment, or the relationship between the subject and the photographer. Technical skills matter, but in people photography, it should support the story, not replace it. I'm especially drawn to images that feel honest, moments that feel observed rather than performed. As I judged tonight, I was responding to first emotional impact and clarity of intent, and then how the photographer's choices support the intent. My goal was to be fair, thoughtful, and respectful of the courage it takes to put work in front of others. Thank you all for sharing your vision.
Thank you.
Okay, you know, I really like the tones in this image. Of course, it's a pleasing smile and a portrait. It has a classic feel. I would consider it a headshot. And it makes me feel like, you know, the print is so nice that it kind of feels like it was shot on film in a way.
The image is Emily by Melanie Plummer, 21 points.
This, you know, it's a good captured moment. I like how the guy in the back or near the back is holding the oar up. The focus was pretty good. Pretty good placement. It's a little more square than I'd like to see it. I don't think we need as much of the bottom. You kind of cut off a bit of the white water, maybe even a little bit of the top. Other than that, it's you know, it captures the moment.
Seeking Adventure by Mike Lonsdale, 18 points.
I like the use of light in this image, and the vertical feeling of the composition, I think, works with the light coming down, wrapping around the hands. Where it falls a little short is just some of the highlights are blown, and your eyes tend to go to the top because it is the brightest part of the composition. but overall, it's a nice composition.
Can I say something?
Worship
Yep.
by Chris Bosworth, 22 points.
This was the first image that spoke to me, and I agree. I think it does fall short a little bit, but ultimately, I would have liked to have seen it possibly in black and white. So at first, I really wasn't sure what was going on. I thought, okay, this must be a play, and the one thing about it is the highlight in the background. It pulls you behind the subject, so it gets distracting. And for this one, while I still feel it technically has some nice components, that highlight either needed worked on, or yeah, that's just my biggest kind of issue with the weight of the image.
Friends Forever by Susan Bestel, 21 points. No.
Too close to your mouth.
Here?
No, I think there's something here at the table.
It's on.
Split one here. Just don't push on the cable. That's all right, I got an extra.
Okay.
You're live.
All right, we'll try this again. It's, I don't know if it's recreation people doing this, but it's a nice portrait. The composition is pretty good. I think the fence is cutting into it too much. The gun should be in the picture more, I think, and a little more contrast. It's a little bit cyanish overall in the print, color-wise. Other than that, it's a nice portrait, but I think it'd be an even better portrait if we just cropped in on the face and got away from some of the other space around him.
Happy Cowboy by Mike Kopkis, 19 points.
I really like the tonality of the print and the detail that's in the face, and really seeing the glasses and the hair and the beard, and I do like the crop. What draws the eye away a little bit is the highlights in the beard need to be brought way down, because it's bringing your eye to the beard instead of just looking at his expression and some of the other details in the portrait.
The General by Marge Brady, 22 points.
Okay, so when I was looking at this, I was saying, okay, they're going to engage here. We have them fully in composition. I just having a little trouble kind of getting any emotion from the shot, because they got their armor on. So while it's a technical shot, I think, and I appreciate the composition. It would have been really interesting to see some action here, because we're anticipating action, and I think that would have been the next shot or series.
Next Challenger by Eric Botsky, 18 points.
This is a really nicely composed image. The dancers are being framed wonderfully by the door, this placement of it all. The upper left part of the door I would like to see lightened up a little bit, dodged there, and some of the highlights brought down a little bit. They are a little distracting because they're fighting with the brightness of the two dancers, the white there. And so, and even the upper right, there's some problems with the lights and darks either being blown out or too dark.
Ethereal Grace by Susan Vestal, 23 points, honorable mention.
I absolutely love this image. The contrast, the composition, technical here, to creating that blur and having the singer in focus, the intensity of the singer's face. Technically, it's a beautiful image. Compositionally, it's lovely too. It's all those leading lines bringing right your back to the singer's face. It's a great image.
Live from Cleveland by Brad Rubensaul, 26 points, first place.
Okay, so, I this kind of is a little tricky for me because if you're in a location and you're trying to photograph people going about their day, of course you can read where they're at, but it lacks emotion. So it looks like a snapshot, and I like the composition, and I will say that the composition is the strongest part of the image.
Borough Market by Mike Kopkis, 19 points.
It's a well-composed portrait. I think they did a good job of capturing it. It's a little tight on top, or that might just be it's a little, there's a shadow on this one, but it's still a little tight on the top, a little extra room on the bottom, I think, than needed. But I do like the moment they caught. It has some fun to it, but when you're looking at a photograph with someone's eyes looking at you, we call it a confrontational photograph because you have to confront with the person here. So I'd like to almost see the irises and that lightened a little bit. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good image.
El Catrine by Denise Meekins, 23 points, honorable mention.
I really enjoy the composition on this one, and the kind of the looking off distance of the eyes works for me because it's bouncing back and forth between that and the portrait, the drawing in the background, and I like kind of the repetition of the lips and just kind of bounces your eyes back and forth. I think in terms of like color, the contrast could be punched up a little bit. Feels a little soft. I think if it had a little more contrast, it would kind of bring her even more forward.
Day of the Dead by Dave Saborik, 24 points, third place.
I have to say I absolutely love this image. Just the engaging gaze you get from the subject here, the books all piled up, and it's in Spanish. I look at her face and her eyes and the glasses, everything pulls you in. It's done well. Even if this was a quick photograph, there's a story here, and I feel it. So I really like this image.
A Life Well Read by Jackie Sayeski, 25 points, second place.
Now,
Hold on. This is
That's not
a
right.
different picture on the screen that is.
I want to talk about this
We're
one.
on 14.
This is 14, yeah.
Another Day
Show
of
it,
the Dead.
Jackie, show it to him.
It's probably the other way.
I don't see it.
Keep going.
He has a little kerfluffle with me.
That was where,
We don't police Cleveland anyway, otherwise
There it is, down at the bottom, last
bottom
one.
yeah,
Now, here's a portrait that I really enjoyed. It has a lot of emotional feel to it. There's a connection. There's joy of the holiday as it is. Almost everything in this works really well. You really see her face with the white being the brightest white in there. There's a good contrast, I think, throughout. I might have said, maybe darken the flower on the upper left or even lighten it. And a thing that's not at all important, but I would have liked to seen the bottom of the skull on the bottom right also. It's a minor point that I noticed that sometimes bothers me that we don't capture everything we really see at the moment. But also this looks like a quick shot in the street, so I don't mind it. I really enjoyed this image.
Dia de los Muertos by Dave Saborik, 24 points, third place. No. Go back to where you were.
we haven't done that picture. That one.
No, this is people. We're in people.
I really enjoyed the connection of the eyes in this portrait. I love the light quality overall, although some of the highlights are a little blown, but I know sometimes that's really tough when you have backlighting and trying to balance out proper exposure with the subject and using that kind of that wraparound lighting. But overall, the quality, the ethereal quality, I enjoyed very much with this composition.
The Fair Maiden by Bill Keaton, 24 points, third place.
Okay, so I feel like this portrait is a nice technical image. I get a little bit lost when I'm just, you're coming from underneath and the child is looking straight at me. So I'm just trying to gauge it. And again, I think you could push things a little bit further by trying to get something to happen. Now, I don't know the full story. Anything could have happened right before this, but I'd say to the artist, to the photographer, to try to keep pushing for something. But yeah, it's a candid kind of stagnant shot for me.
Can I say something about this one? And this is a totally technical issue, but these are being presented as prints, and I think that black mat on the inside totally or affects the image in a negative way, because the black isn't black enough to hit the blacks in the print. It's very hard to find a good print to put, a black and white print to put a black mat around. One, because the black of the mat's never dark enough or seldom dark enough. And in this case, it really distracts and makes the print duller than it actually is. So presentation is real important, and a lot of these mats were not greatly done.
Side note, you could consider a linen, black linen would give you that real rich black for if you wanted to double up like that. Maybe even consider like foam core lifters, but maybe not on this image.
My Secret Perch by Denise Meekins, 21 points.
This is another, a really nicely captured moment. What I really like about this image are the colors. They're using a complementary scheme here with, the purples and the orange and the red really helps everything stand out. The composition of it with the hat coming through at an angle and Wayne and the balance with the cape around her, and then in the eyes, the purple. Capturing this stuff and even having a good depth of field it's shallow but not too shallow, I think works. Her eyes, we definitely are pulled into her eyes. And of course, she's put on some interesting makeup, so that adds to it all. But the overall composition and color in this I find very good.
La Katrina by Melanie Plummer, 22 points.
I think the expression on the subject, I don't know if this is the parade or where the capture is, but almost like a street performer, and kind of the mimic of what the street performer is wearing, and what is captured in the box is kind of fun, kind of the repetition there. I think for me it compositionally falls a little short. There's a lot of air above it. I don't think that it's needed. And the face, I know it's tricky when you're shooting a candid, the face is slightly soft.
Swinger by Jenny Gava, 24 points, third place.
This was one of my favorite images. Compositionally, it really works. It is tight, but you get this idea, that this individual has had a difficult life, and I like the shallow depth of field. Reminds me of film quite a bit. A lot is going on in the eyes. I really like this image.
Those Eyes by Bill Keaton, 25 points, second place.
Here, again, I love the connection with the eyes. We're definitely reacting to her. I like the lighting, except for I think all the shadow areas need to be brought up a little bit while not losing the highlights. But, or at least there are some areas that could also be darkened. But it's this kind of in-between ground of the dark and the midtones that are bothering me and distracting from her face. Maybe if it was cropped in tighter, because part of me likes the composition with the space to the left, but the other part of me wants to see that darker, I think, yeah.
Witness by Jackie Meredith, 23 points, honorable mention.
With this image, I really appreciate the use of light, and the split lighting here I think works for me in this image, really drawing the viewer in, and just kind of the overall softness. I think for me that really works.
A Quiet Moment by Natalie Weiner, 21 points.
So I like the composition here from the window light. Reminds me of a photograph that I've done personally for a toy company. Yeah, it's interesting just to see, you know, a child's perspective looking into the future.
Dreaming by Kent Hill, 20 points.
I almost find this to be almost more of a portrait of the horse than the officer on it. The composition, it's hard to get the right moment in something like this. The horse is facing one way, he's facing the other, so it kind of forces you into the middle, but then you have the space on the right of the horse going back. So some of the space on the left is actually wasted and kind of distracts from, like, if you follow his face, you're going to follow it down through the ears to the face of the horse and back to his boot and then back up and around. So it's going to give you a good place for your eyes to move throughout it. And the other, it's the focus and the depth of field's real nice on this. One of the problems, I'm sure you probably had this sent out to get printed, but it's got this kind of brown tone that's not a sepia tone, which would have probably wouldn't really have worked in this image. But I'd like to see it in full black and white instead of this kind of half tone color.
Partners by Jackie Meredith, 21 points.
I really enjoy the use of light. I see what the photographer is accomplishing here. You got nice catch lights in the eyes. That pop of red really helps, still bringing your face down toward the eyes. But the top edge of the whole top third of the image is too bright. My eyes keep then moving back up to the hat, which has lack of detail too, because again, it's too bright. It just keeps drawing my eye up. That whole top third of the picture really needs to be darkened down.
Brown-Eyed Girl by Natalie Weiner, 20 points.
This is funny. You know, they're actually in a casket. The facial expressions, it's outlandish. You know, she's getting a little light shoulder rub. I'm not quite sure, but it just makes me laugh.
Surprise by Joe Vanacek, 19 points.
This is a real nice moment in time, you know, probably mother and child, and it's a great look between them. I really like that. I think obviously it was composed quickly, and I think they did a good job with that. It's hard to do. You haven't really cut off anything that's important. The only thing about this that I think the highlights throughout, the lights are just a little too light, needs to be brought down a bit. And to me, it's a really good portrait. It's not overly artistic in the sense of something you'd be putting in a show or so, but I can't imagine that the mother wouldn't be thrilled with this, because if it was my kids and grandkids, I'd think it's wonderful.
Mother-Daughter Love by Kent Hill, 20 points.
This is a nice composition. The confrontation with the gun, I mean, obviously you're going to draw your eye right in. Looks like a recreation from, you know, an old Western or a TV show. And I do enjoy the kind of muted tones in the image. I think it works.
Moment of Decision by Jackie Sieski, 24 points, third place.
Yep, we got another little funny one here. I feel as though we need to consider some of the, I like the separation, composition, you know. It reminds me of one of my daughters. She would just destroy everything. But the stuff going on in the background is a little bit distracting, and sometimes you may want to start dodging or pulling in more detail in the shadow areas.
Sad Parade by Dave Korosek, 20 points.
We got another, really nicely composed portrait, gotten at just the right moment, it seems. With the trombone is really what makes the image, which is funny to say in a portrait, but because of that, it brings your eye through and around again, back to the face again. But you're going to start with the lighter area of the face, the trombone under it, and the hat, and then make your way back around the rest of the image. I do think the highlights need to be brought down a little bit, and the mid-range could be brought out a little bit on his coat, as opposed to, I think, the black underneath it. They're almost too close.
Leader of the Band by Jenny Gaba, 20 points.
And just another little technical note, I'm noticing it now under more of the spots. Just be careful you're dodging and burning. I just see there's like a dodging that's going around the subject a little bit too much.
Good point.
I really enjoy the expression. I mean, that's what you're looking at the image. There is that connection. Looks like a heavy metal guy and enjoying a show, coming from a concert. That's what I interpret it as. In terms of composition, it would be made stronger if we came in tighter. There's a lot of air above his head. I don't think it helps the composition.
Dude at Parade by Dave Korosek, 18 points.
So again, I like the composition here. I like what the photographer did with the owl's eyes. It looks like you might have brightened them up a bit. Either way, it's pretty cool. I still feel as though working on opening up some shadow detail would be nice.
Forest Companion by Eric Botsky, 22 points.
Excuse me. There's a lot that I like about this portrait, and then there's some things that I'm not as thrilled with. It's an interesting use of light, but it's a little, I think, too hot certainly on the arm and a little bit on the face. I'd like to see a little bit of a bounce onto the right side of the face, and we're losing all background on the left side, which kind of bothers me. What I do like, I keep following the lines of her and her body, and it's like it's been cut off too soon. That line there is supposed to be longer, and I think that takes away from the image, so it's caught in between. Do we cut off by the right shoulder and cut off her hip and the rest of her leg, and maybe a little bit of the elbow? Then you get a square image that I think would work better.
Trafficked by Marge Brady, 21 points.
I like the reds in here and trying to, looks like a piece that was a conceptual piece, in terms of like the red and the flames and kind of that hellfire. I mean, that's what I get from it. I think, it's a nice piece for a conceptual piece.
Agony in Hell by Chris Bosworth, 22 points.
And that's Anna People. Go right into pictorial.
This is that one that we weren't sure of, that's still in
Yeah, you're missing the first, this is the number 2.
That was the first one
This is-
we
this
met,
is-
that was
Oh.
a tutorial.
No.
Yeah,
In the images.
Actually, in the other category.
Yeah, it's the one that we weren't sure of.
Do I need to go back?
Yes.
And then I'll show you, the second image.
Right
There
there.
it is, second from the left.
Right above you, yep, that one.
Yep, there we go. We forgot to switch cards when we were taking pictures.
I think it's mine. I like the composition here. I like the kind of the feel of fashion, you know, with her hair and wardrobe and the jewelry. No expression, but it still has nice composition. That's the strongest part of it for me.
Gypsy Soul by Susan Bestel, 23 points, third place.
This has a really nice movement and composition going on through it. Jellyfish are fascinating to me to see. I think the focus could have been a little tighter, and I would have, overall, it's a little too cyan, and I know there were a lot of blues in it, but I just feel that it needed to be a little bit less and maybe a little stronger in the other colors in there by pulling those out a little.
Tangled Jelly by Tangled Jellies by Vicky Wirt, 21 points.
Overall, it's a nicely composed landscape. You know, it's using the rule of thirds. I could see what the capture, you know, the idea behind the capture here. I guess I'm not too sure of the choice in the colors, in the composition. That just like a personal note. It feels a little illustrative, painterly, which can be a plus, but the unnatural colors I'm just not quite sure about.
Where the Light Was Patient by Bob Kowaleski, 21 points.
So we're looking at the composition here, and the photographer framed it in the middle of the frame. I like that. I like the shallow depth of field. Yeah.
Bones of the Dunes by Dennis Wirt,
Can I-
21 points.
I just want to make one point on this, again, with the matte, having such thin sides is going to distract from the image because it gives too much weight on top and the bottom. It just, again, something to think
So
about.
the reason we have to do that is because we have to have certain sizes for framing.
A bit smaller. Something. This a great moment captured. I like a lot of what's being done here, although I think I'd prefer a little bit more space above them and a little less below. I'm also thinking that this might have been a nice black and white because there's so little color in this doesn't really help the image, where I think if it was in black and white, people would really focus then more on the tonal range and of course, the two goats, which I think would help this a bit.
Come on, you can do this. Mike Lonsdale, 21 points.
This is a nice graphic image. I like the use of color. What I think is the weaker part is the dark area at the bottom. It just distracts, it pulls your eyes down. You want to keep your eyes moving within that frame of the graphic, and it just pulls everything to that bottom and there's nothing there. It's just, I think it could use some cropping.
Glass Abstract by Chris Bosworth, 23 points, third place.
I like the shallow depth of field. That to me is the kind of the coolest part of the image. Of course, the bird is positioned well. Just seeing the nice detail on the branch that the bird is on kind of really spoke to me.
And I also note, as a birder, that is a very difficult image to capture. Good job.
Fiery Throated Hummingbird by Marge Brady, 21 points.
There's a lot of things I like about this image. I was a graphic design major, and so I react usually pretty strong to graphic images, which this has a lot of design qualities to it that I like. I like how my eyes brought around the picture, both by the broken springs and the circular lines throughout it, and the strong piece of metal on top. I don't necessarily, I'm not crazy about the colors in this. I think they're, although complementary, I don't think they're working that well. And I really think I'd rather see the circles on the top and turn this over, because the piece that's the main subject doesn't stand out as interesting as a shape as the chains and the springs and the circles.
Gears and Springs by Mike Kopkas, 21 points.
Again, with the birds, for me, it's the capture. It's tremendously difficult with a long lens trying to capture action and sharpness, and a moment, which is really great, which is the talons up, which is a tricky shot to get. Good job.
Art of the Hunt by Eric Botsky, 22 points, honorable mention.
So this is a simple shot, and it's just so majestic to see the eagle this way. Love the one with the profile of the bird on the right. And I love the shot. The only thing I would say, I would still want to see a little more shadow detail in the trees behind the birds.
Guardians of the Wild by Bob Kowaleski, 24 points, second place.
Yeah, it's subjective.
I found this to be a beautiful image. I thought they did a good job of capturing everything. I was hoping it was all captured in camera. And there's a part of me that likes, I'd like the guy in it to be over a little bit to the right if he's still in the image. And I think I like him in it, but I'd like him to be further to the right. And they cut off, you cut off a little bit of the boat on the left, and the cutting things off at the sides, tops, and bottom in pictures drives me nuts, because it's such an easy fix, and there was no reason not to capture that, because this was obviously pretty set up and had the time to really compose it well.
Early Morning Serenity by Mike Lonsdale, 24 points, second place.
I really love the tones in this image. I love the color. It's very painterly. I feel like, I don't know how I feel about the compositionally dead center. I feel like it'd be more dynamic if we had like a little different cropping choices. But in terms of tonality and painterly and the drop of the depth of field, it's really lovely.
Lotus Beauty by Vicky Wirt, 23 points, third place.
I really like the lighting in this image, and compositionally, it's a little off center. That was the first thing that I kind of noticed. Could work on some burning and a little dodging, but all in all, yeah, it's a huge space. I like where the photographer was at, and getting the ambient light was nice as well.
Glacier National Park Lodge by Dennis Wirtz, 20 points.
This image kind of makes me smile because it's not what you'd expect someone to capture, because the eyes are closed, so it's like blinking just as you take a picture. And with people, you don't want that to happen usually at all. But in this, I think it works nicely. I think the composition works so well in this because of the color and the bands. You have the balance of this. That yellow really helps stand out the most important part of the owl, which is its head and that. And then it forms into the green, which also kind of follows the body of the owl too, or it might be a chick, but a young one. But all in all, I do like the color of it. I might consider something I think you should think about in all your images. Most of you haven't grown up with 35 millimeter or 2 1/4, so you're not used to the format of either the more rectangular or square. And some get caught a little bit too much in between. Like this one, maybe if it was a little more square, but it's a minor point on this one.
Sleepy Owl by Brad Rubensaw, 22 points, honorable mention.
Right. I like the choice in creating a panoramic for this one. It's a nice choice in crop. Also, again, I like the choice in the paper choice for this print. It gives it more of a pastel drawing quality, which I think works kind of at sunset. I think the overall is some good artistic choices for the image.
Sunset at Factory Butte by Bob Kowaleski, 21 points.
I absolutely love this image. You know, if I were to say anything negative about it, it would be that I would really like to see it in black and white. But yeah, I like the composition, tones. It's very nice. Good job.
Petal Perfection by Denise Meekins, 25 points, first place.
I like how the photographer was seeing this image. You know, the leaf is interesting. The light on it's nice. I wish it wasn't so straight across. It's cutting, the line is going right through the middle, which you don't really want to do. A little bit of an angle would have helped this, I think, a lot. I like the depth of field. And the color, though, seems way off to me. It's way too cyan in the dark, in the shadows. And although I like it somewhat, I find it distracting on the branches because it's too blue in that sense.
Autumn Leaf by Dave Saborik, 21 points.
This is a lovely capture, flamingo, and I like the moment of the flamingo reaching back to get his feather to clean, and just kind of that S-curve that's starting to happen, and the choice and composition from moving from the left corner all the way up to right to his eye. That's the first thing my eye moves right up to, and I do like the choice in making the background darker so that flamingo really pops forward.
Flamingo Yoga by Vicki Wirtz, 23 points, third place.
We have another tricky bird shot. I love the wings and the little bit of blur up top. That kind of was the most interesting part of the photograph for me.
Cardinal Takeoff by Brad Rubensaul, 22 points, honorable mention.
Here's another nice image of shapes and form, and it's going to bring your eye around. I find the left part of the picture almost more interesting, but I do like the circular form on the right also. I think it's a little too balanced in the sense that they're fighting, the top part of the image is fighting with the lower half of the image because they're totally different in the forms that are moving. So you can't really follow, you start following the straight lines and then you're hit by a curve that doesn't smoothly run into them. So I think either more of the curves and less of the top might make this work a little better.
Windmill Woodwork by Dennis Wirt, 21 points.
I love the illustrative quality of this image and the recreation of the child being punished by the teacher in the corner, and his expression and her expression is lovely. I do like the illustrative tones and kind of that light quality to it. It's really interesting.
Lessons by Jackie Sayeski, 24 points, second place.
This one I had a little trouble with. I like the composition of the gourds and the snow. I think it might just need some more saturation. That I think it needs a little more pop for me instead of the muted color with the oranges.
Frosty Still Life by Melanie Plummer, 18 points.
I find the subject very interesting. I remember being in caves when I was young, going on trips and things. But I'm finding that there's too much here. If you take the 3 on the upper right and crop just those in there, basically those with a little bit of this white, then you have a better focal point. Right now, the focal point is the white in the middle that kind of cuts it in half, or the larger shape on the left, but they don't, to me, they're not working that well together. Again, maybe the colors are working, there's some balance, there's the angle of the bottoms coming across and leading your eye around it. I just find that there's not one specific focal point.
Rusted Ice by Bill Keaton, 20 points.
In terms of tonality, I do like the lighting that is created here and the technical capture of creating that blur to create kind of the capture in chess. I think in terms of I feel like there's too much space on the right. There's nothing there that keeps drawing my eye. I mean, the action is really focused on that blur and going into that capture. I think if it could use some cropping on the right.
Knight to F6, Checkmate by Belinda Prince, 20 points.
I really like the choice of colors here. I'm such a fan of black and white, but this particular one just spoke to me, and I think it's beautiful.
Flower and Ink by Jill Zabka, 23 points, third place.
Sorry. No. Yeah, different ones on the screen. That's all. No switch.
This has some beautiful colors in it. I like the use of the rule of thirds with the water being on the bottom third and then the trees on the top 2/3. I know it's a picture of a blue heron, but it's really hard to see that. And I want some way to see more of the heron, or even more of the, like the tree on the left I find beautiful also. I find the trees very beautiful. It might even be a better picture almost without the heron, because it kind of fights, because they're all so interesting in their own sense. But,
Last Call for Fall by Jackie Meredith, 21 points.
It's an interesting portrait. I think that the black and white printing is a little flat. There's no real highlights. There's some nice shadows and some detail in the blacks, but the midtones are just kind of all uniform, one color, one grade. And compositionally, it could stand for a little cropping. I think it'd make it a little more interesting composition.
Secret
Yeah.
Agent Man by Natalie Weiner, 19 points.
You know, when I first saw this image, I was trying to understand what was going on with, you know, everybody's kind of doing their own thing, and that's great. Compositionally, it does work. I want to get someone's attention to look towards the camera. I just want to say, like, you know, like yell something out, like, hey, you know, and just get someone to look, and like, especially the closest biker, just to get him looking in my direction would have been great. I think that's part of it. And then the person who you do see his face, he's in complete shadow on the far left. So I don't always need to see people's faces or eyes, but it would have been nice to get a little bit of recognition from one of the subjects.
Bangkok Traffic by Kent Hill, 18 points.
It's a nicely composed image. It's a still life that's, still lifes are hard to do, really hard to do, I think, to do well. I think you've done a pretty good job with this. I think it could use a little wider depth of field, but it's got a very painterly feel to it, and I like the choice of colors.
Like a Painting, Belinda Prince, 20 points.
Technically, I guess I just have a hard time looking at one thing because of the use of the digital effect that was created here. My eye's not really drawn to any one thing. It's kind of all that same line work of the effect that was used digitally. I do appreciate, you know, the cars kind of blurred going into the center, kind of drawing your eye that way a little bit and toward the chandelier, but I feel like the digital technique here doesn't work as well.
Can I say something? You know, when I'm looking at the cars, I want to see them like blurry lines, like bright neon blurs, and instead of, you know, of course you see the shape of the car, but I think they could have went a little further by creating some more effectual, linear, crazy lines. But the top is kind of the coolest part of the image for me, with the chandelier and the.
City in Motion by Jill Zabka, 20 points.
I really like this as a moment of capture of an image. You know, you got her at just the right moment, as she hasn't turned too much one way or the other. I think compositionally it works pretty well, but here again, the tires on the bottom being cut off really are going to bother me. You could have a little bit more space to lead into on the left, a little less on the right, and the highlights are just a little too bright. But I like I said, I know it's a capture on a moment. You don't have a lot of time to do all of that, and I think you did a pretty good job.
Parade Queen by Dave Korosek, 22 points, honorable mention.
I'd like to thank our judges again. Without them, their expertise and sacrificing your time. All of you who entered, congratulations to the winners, and keep trying to those who didn't win. Notice I didn't say the L word. Please consider, remember next Wednesday there's a couple of deadlines. Consider coming early. We're open at 6:30, and the Lonsdales have cooked up, is it lobster and steak this week? Yeah. But yes, come early, and we're going to have an in-person expert in photojournalism speaking to us. So please come next week if you can. Thanks.